So let's start. Today we will discuss about urban social fabric. There's a topic in your syllabus, urban social fabric. Now there are three terms in this topic, three words. What is urban? First we have to understand what is urban. Can anyone tell me what is urban? Yes, what is urban?
सर जहाँ पर सेकेंडरी और टर्शरी एक्टिविटीज होती हैं
जहाँ पर जिस सेटलमेंट में सेकेंडरी टर्शरी क्वार्टरनरी अदर देन प्राइमरी एक्टिविटीज डोमिनेट करती हैं, more than 50% of the workforce is engaged in activities other than primary activities for their livelihood. Livelihood is the key word here. If you are doing it as a hobby, suppose you are doing something as a hobby, then it is not your occupation. You don't depend on this activity for your livelihood. If I do farming in my free time, how much, that doesn't matter how much I am earning from that. I will not be a farmer. I will be a teacher. I will not, my main occupation, I don't depend on it. I don't identify with it for my livelihood. And it's not my own occupation, main occupation. Okay. So that is urban. Those settlements in which more than 50% of the workforce is involved in activities other than primary activity and depends on these activities for their livelihood. So that is urban settlement. Rural settlement where primary activities predominate. Okay. So that is urban. And what is social? I don't think we have to elaborate on that. What is social? Yes, you know, we discuss social society. Social is a society in which people interact and work for some common goals and under certain set of rules, a certain set of codes. That is social. Social means society here. And now what is fabric? Can anyone tell me what is fabric? Yes, what is fabric? What is fabric? Fabric is, yes. Can anyone tell me what is fabric? Any idea? What is fabric? Yes? Yes, Ubaid? Yes.
So connecting to connection or relationship with each other.
But from where the word comes from? What is a fabric?
In the fabric parlance, is normally used in clothes, sir.
Yes, fabric is the cloth. Now, why we are comparing the urban system with the social fabric? Why?
Because sir, we are like connected to each other like a cloth, sir.
Yes, we are connected. Actually, if you go inside the cloth, inside you can say the making of the cloth or anatomy of the cloth, finer. Then cloth is woven like this. Right? Cloth, as you can see, that cloth is woven like this. And if these yarns, these are yarns, if these yarns are very near to each other, that is fine cloth. And if they are distant from each other, that is a coarse cloth. Fine and coarse. That is granularity of the cloth. granularity is decided by being fine. The distance between these, this is Tana and Bana. Perhaps you must have heard the term. Tana and Bana. This, these yarns are Tana and these are Bana. Tana and Bana. So it is said that as the fabric, as the yarn is woven to each other, are connected to each other in the cloth, the people, their activities, their living spaces, their interaction are woven like a fabric. So that is called a social fabric. Urban social fabric. Urban because we are talking about urban space. So it is urban social fabric. So what are the main elements of urban social? Why the cities were originated? Yes, when the cities were originated, when the urban systems were originated. Yes, why the cities were originated? Yes, why urban societies originated? Actually, urban is not only an economic concept; it is a social concept also. So, what distinguishes urban from rural? Yes, and all this is happening in social urban space. And I think we don't have to discuss space. What is space here? Because we have discussed it in earlier classes. Social space and urban space. Yes. So yes, what happens? What are the main elements? Okay, first element is
Good service, sir.
yes,
Good service are in urban areas.
good
Better
services.
opportunity.
And the urban systems were created because they are
The
better,
government.
let me complete. They are better systems than individuals. Other rural systems. They are more more efficient and more progressive systems. So the cities were created. And what causes the transformation of rural system to urban system? Yes. What causes?
There will lack of facilities in rural areas force us to migrate to the urban area, and
Yes, that is a push factor. Yes.
yes,
But what causes? What defines an urban space? What causes? Uh, you're talking about the migration from rural to urban areas, but I'm asking about a certain rural settlement which transformed over the years with time, which transformed into urban system. So what caused that transformation? Why that? How that rural system transformed into an urban system? That is the question. Yes.
so development.
Yes, development. Actually, development is a loose term. Um, actually, the correct term is diversification of economy.
Yes, sir. Diversification, change in activity of population.
Diversification. In rural areas, main activities are agriculture and related activities. In urban areas, banking, insurance, marketing, theatre, mm, schools, many type of activities. A plethora of activities are there. The diversification of economy takes place, and why this diversification of economy takes place? Because there was mainly because there was an efficient agricultural system, and that led to greater income, and that greater income led to disposable income. And what is this disposable income? What is this disposable income? The disposable income. What is this? Efficient agricultural systems, Efficient, I think we don't have to discuss what is efficient. Efficient means it is about the ratio of input and output. In less input, if there is more output, that system is called efficient. Okay, so it is efficient agriculture. In agricultural system, crop yield are more. So after Pizarra eating of food purposes, some food is left, and by selling that, he or she has some disposable income. That disposable income that give the freedom to spend on finer things of life, fine clothes, entertainment, better house, other luxurious items, or other.
So disposable income, we can relate it from the profit we gain and
Yes,
maybe
yes,
net
profit. And from where the profit comes? If your system, if your manufacturing a system or produce is efficient, then you are left with a disposable income, and that disposable income gives you the freedom to spend on finer things of life. Okay, other than food, other than basic
Yes.
needs. Okay, so that's why, because of efficient agricultural systems, uh, diversification of economy takes place. Maybe and because why diversification of economy takes place? Because disposable income is there, so you have the money to spend on finer and other luxuries of life. Okay, so diversification of demand is created, and diversification of economy takes place, so that the economic structure changes, and rural settlement changes into urban settlements. And what can we infer that these are efficient? Efficiency is these are more efficient systems than rural systems. Efficiency is the hallmark. And when you are free, you have disposable income, you have new ideas. So that's why urbanization is called civilization also. It is perhaps sometimes the synonym of civilization. Better ideas are there. So, so what happens there? What happens in urban system? As we talked about, there are better social interaction, a different type of social interaction, economic administration.
flow of goods,
Yes, but
flow of goods, economic
flow of goods,
services.
yes. So, and better public administration, and yes, better flow of goods. Actually, the quality of connections improve. So, better flow of goods, better administration, better public meeting, better social interaction. Uh, um, these activities are added. That layer is, and entertainment. Better entertainment is there. There is institutionalized things. These are institutionalized. There are institutions for these. Better education, yes. Better and higher education. Better
Better health
healthcare
facility.
facilities. Um, better flow of goods, also, and better flow of ideas. People exchange ideas. People,
Yes, sir.
yes, and art, better development of art and culture. Monumental buildings are there. In the cities. These are the hallmark of the city. You can see that in every city worth its name, there is a monumental building. Almost in every city, there is a big building. There's a monumental building, and sometimes, often rather, these buildings were made in a medieval period. Not only modern buildings are also there, but these were in medieval and ancient periods. So art and culture were patronized, education developed a lot, healthcare system got an advance, entertainment is institutionalized, like cinema, like theater, like and these in earlier village system, these art and culture was there, but they were moving. They were not institutionalized. They were not settled. They were moving. Madaris, theater groups, they were moving. As the urban system progressed, the urban system became so big and the demands were so much increased that they were settled mainly in one city. At least the headquarter was there. Cinema, talkies, as it were called. Better education facilities were, and people tend to migrate, tend to pull by these systems, isn't it? Security system. With the advancement and development and diversification of economy, the enhanced security was needed, and security also became an occupation. And management of all these things, management of all these things became an occupation in itself. You know?
Yes, sir. Better administration, sir.
Yes, management, yes. A new educational and commercial part was developed, management, MBAs and CAs, chartered accountants, better economic and commercial professionals were there. There was a need to manage and develop and augment these systems. And theatre and culture, one very interesting institution of city life, at least in earlier times, were coffee houses. In these coffee houses, people met and exchanged notes and ideas. And many theories and many literary classics were originated in, at least idea was originated in these coffee houses. In the cities, you can see many coffee houses. They were discussing on the cup of coffee. Intellectuals were gathered and they exchanged ideas. And one very interesting thing was opera. Here also intellectuals met. And many plays and dramas were filmed and staged there. So this, and we were talking about morphology. What is morphology of the city? All these things, all these activities are taking place in the urban space, the city. You can see one word comes here: the morphology of the city. Yes, the social fabric is the interweaving of these things, the phenomenon. Morphology. What is morphology of the city? Have you anyone heard?
Yes, sir. I heard the word morphology. It's a structure, word structure, and it is. If we relate it with the cities, then it might be, sir. It is related to city structure.
Yes, it is related to city morphology. We are talking about. But what is morphology of the city? Morphology of the city is not only, you can see it, morphology is not only, in its simplest term, it is shape. But it is not only shape, it is about relative positioning of different city components or city zones, relative positioning of zones, and the connection and flow between these zones, how much they are connected. So it is morphology. We study in morphology the, the shape of the city, the relative positioning of different city zones, and the flow and connections, the flow of goods and services. Actually, city is all about services. City grows by providing services. So these all things are happening in a city space, an urban space. And like this, they are so interwoven.
Sir, can we relate it from the land use pattern in cities? Can we relate it?
Yes. But land use pattern is not the process. Land use pattern is the symptom, the result of this. Yes, but we can detect, especially granularity of the city is gauged by or established by or resulted by the land use pattern. It is seen in the if these institutions are very near, then the city is fine grained like fabric, and if it is very far apart, that is the coarse grain. Actually, all old cities are mostly fine grained, and new cities are less developed cities are coarse grained cities. So all these things are happening in the city space, and that the connection and relative uh, location and the connections is called the social fabric. That is the concept of social